Happy 2014. It's episode 18 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to discuss a hodgepodge of topics anywhere from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And on the first episode of 2014, we'll be discussing 3 films: Spike Jonze's Her, the Coen brothers' Inside Llewyn Davis, and Peter Berg's Lone Survivor. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com, or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or over at my review blog, dougreviews.blogspot.com. And we'd like to wish we'd like to be the last to wish all of our listeners a Happy New Year. Welcome to 2014. And
whatever, it's all the same, man.
Yeah, nothing changes on New Year's Day, as a wise Irishman once said. But this is our first episode of 2014. We took a little break, not because our lives are busy, just because there was nothing going on.
Yeah.
Nothing came out.
A little unnecessary hiatus.
Yes. Right. I mean, because we weren't going to go and review Paranormal Activity 67. But we recently saw 3 movies just this last week. 3 2013 films that are finally getting wider release. 3 good ones.
Yeah.
One is above the others, I would say.
Yeah.
I was, and one I think was a surprise for both of us. We liked it.
Sure.
But the first one we'll talk about is Her.
Yep, Spike Jonze, new movie.
Right, writer-director Spike Jonze, and you want to take the wheel on this one?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this movie since I first heard about it, midway through last year.
Yeah.
When they first started to get a lot of press.
I think it was like right around the time, it was probably like the end of summer. Yeah, when I was doing my fall movie preview, and I was like
end of July or August.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten that it was coming out, and now I was like, oh yeah, remember that movie?
Yeah, and it did not disappoint. It was a really good movie. It was equal parts funny, heartfelt, and painful to watch. But the way Jones wrote it and directed it, I thought was pretty masterful. I don't have a whole lot bad to say about this movie. This is Joaquin Phoenix. This is basically a wheelhouse for him. The whole movie revolves around his character, Twombly. What's his first name?
Theodore
Twombly, which
you don't know. She said it enough.
even as the name suggests, I mean, he's just this boring, sad sack of a guy. I mean, he just rolls off the tongue. Theodore Twombly.
Yeah.
Kind of Eeyore. Almost and so he's going through a divorce,
right?
And he's a writer of sorts. I'm not going to give too much away necessarily, but he's a writer of sorts, and he's going through some hard times, and he just happens to come across this new AI operating system that has come out, and figures he'd give it a whirl. FYI, this movie is set sometime in the future. We don't know. It's very vague.
The near future. It's
near future, but no dates are given. It's the waist high trouser future.
Yeah,
that's the only way.
Yeah,
they're like, how can we depict a future style? I know. All men will wear like above waist high trousers. Anyway,
it was weird.
It was odd.
And he only had like 3 shirts.
yeah. But so he downloads this new operating system just to give it a whirl, and they end up in a relationship with this artificial intelligence, and he end up in an actual love relationship, and that, just like any relationship, they have its ups and downs. They argue. Well, they not flat out. Well, no, they do. They argue. It's fair to say they argue. And it's for me, it really worked well. I wanted to see it as much as I thought I'd enjoy it, but I wanted to see it as much to find out if it actually would work.
Right.
As much as the possibility that it wouldn't, and he didn't disappoint here. There are parts in the movie that maybe feel a little sluggish, maybe, but overall, this movie kept its pace. This was one of my favorite movies of last year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. I gave it an A-. I liked it a lot. There was just something a little bit that was holding it back from being classic territory for me. Like, for me, the pinnacle of last year was 12 Years a Slave and Gravity and American Hustle. This one is, for me, just like a notch below.
That's fair.
But it was good. I mean, the performances are excellent. Scarlett Johansson plays the AI,
right,
Samantha.
I forgot to mention
Samantha.
That, yeah. And I mean, for a character that is simply a voice,
right?
She portrays a lot.
Yeah,
honestly, more than I thought she was capable.
Yeah, she does a great job. And they're trying to get her recognition with the Academy, but my thing to that is good luck. Good luck with
there's
that.
No way. That's way too progressive.
Yeah, good luck with that. If Andy Serkis can't even get nominated for Gollum,
yeah, right?
You're not going to get nominated for a voice performance.
No chance. Yeah.
Not just her, but there's two other great actresses in this. Rooney Mara is in it as Theodore's wife,
ex-wife,
and she has, her performance is really good because I would say 90% of her performance is done in silence.
Yep.
Because she's almost the opposite of Scarlett Johansson, because most of her performance is in flashback, and there's no sound in the flashbacks. It's just people talking over whatever he's remembering. And she does a great job. And then Amy Adams is also in this. She's having she had a great 2013.
Really nice performance here.
Yeah, she's really good as, she's basically Theodore's best friend. It's really good. It is a strange movie. It is a strange Spike Jonze movie.
Yeah.
It's not going to be for everybody.
You need to go in there with
an open mind. Yeah, you have to be able to buy into the conceit, and if you can't, you're not going to like this movie.
Absolutely.
But even I wasn't completely sold on it all the way, and we kind of talked about this just a little bit after we saw it, in that, to me, it felt like, because for me, I can't really even buy into, say, strictly internet relationships.
Right. The idea that one could fall in love
without
just right on
without
a page,
because or like these women that write to convicts and they say I'm in love with him, and it's like he murdered 20 people. I can't buy into that whole conceit, and it's not even about sex. It's human love is or just humans in general. There's a need there to have like physical connection with other humans.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that need, that connection. But I also think that the mind is very complicated, and
definitely,
you can easily fall in love with someone's mind.
No, you can.
And that being said, all it takes to do that is to convey thought.
Right.
And you can do that on page. You can do that anywhere. I'm not even fully disagreeing with you. I just think I can see how it's possible. I think a little more. I can give into it a little bit. I've actually been in a relationship that started that way.
No, and that's fine. I mean, it's fine if it starts that way. But the thing for me is like, because I've done online dating too and stuff like that. But it's okay if it starts that way. But eventually there needs to be that physicality to it.
Well, and one could argue that they address that here.
They do. They did. And they did it. It was a great scene that they did that. Yeah. But
you got to remember the relationship span here that they show here. It's pretty collapsed. It doesn't show. It's not like this is some relationship where they show it lasting years and years, right? So, I buy into it a little more.
I mean, I think I would have bought into it more had she been like some kind of robot or something like that.
Right. They tried it.
Yeah. But if they had done that, I think it would have been just a little bit more believable. Okay. Well, not believable so much, but just like basically when you're in prison, there's a reason why they put you in isolation sometimes, because it'll drive people crazy not having human contact and stuff like that, and also that sensory deprivation and all that stuff too. But that was just the one sticking point for me to totally completely buy into it.
Yeah.
But
you never.
There was always
you never felt. You always knew that she was AI. You never felt.
And I know that's important to the movie because the movie is really more about her.
Agreed. I think her.
It's really more about her evolution than even his.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This is, for me, it worked way better that way than the opposite way.
Right, yeah.
The fact that Jones never let us forget that she was artificial intelligence. She was not real.
Right.
A lot of directors or writers here would opt the opposite to try in order to try to make the audience feel for this relationship, they would try to humanize something that's not human.
Right.
Spike Jonze doesn't do that.
No, he doesn't.
For me, the movie's all the better for it.
Right. Yeah, and he does a great job with that. It's it's just like I said. There was that hint of it that always remained alien, and that's kind of what it was just like that one last little bit that I just couldn't wrap my head around. That was just like, okay, but it sounds like it's a major problem I have with the movie, but it really is a small quibble because it's a great movie.
Done movie. Yeah.
It's funny, and it is really like a romantic comedy of sorts.
Yeah, it is. It's even billed that way. Yeah. Leading up to the movie, I thought it was basically going to be a full-on drama, and it is a drama.
It's very melancholy,
but there's a lot more comedy in it than I thought. It's subtle comedy for the most part. It's not it's not your Naked Gun or anything like that.
No.
But I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, he does his thing here, and I was uber impressed.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Like you said, not just him, but he conveyed so much in this movie. Like you mentioned before, more through her, just her expressions. He did the same thing, and it was pretty amazing.
If he's Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, a lot of people, always refer back to the quote-unquote year he went crazy, and he did that hoax documentary with Casey Affleck.
I'm still here, yeah.
Right, but if you have never really been a fan of Joaquin Phoenix, something like that, you'll like him in this. He's great in this. And if you also have not seen P.T. Anderson's The Master, definitely check that out because Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic.
He did really good in that. I didn't get sucked into that movie.
Mm-hmm. It was a little detached. It was a little cold.
It is not a bad movie.
Right.
It is. You got it. For me, I had to sit through it as opposed to really just laying there and enjoying the movie. But
that's a tense movie too, because you never know when he's going to snap.
No, he absolutely did a great job.
Yeah,
in that movie.
He really did,
and he's back here.
Yeah, he's great, and he's also he's actually going to be in P.T. Anderson's next movie that comes out later this year, Inherent Vice, which I'm looking forward to because Anderson's a fantastic director.
Yeah, he is. He's at the top echelon of new director.
Yeah.
When I say new directors, I mean relatively.
Yeah.
So. He's right up there.
Post Spielberg, we'll say.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But check this movie out.
Yeah, definitely check out Her. It finally went wide this past weekend, and it's great. It's really, really a sweet movie. But like I said, you got to go with an open mind, or else you're not going to get it.
And there are also a lot of question marks or open doors left in this movie. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like having to think about, hey, what's going to happen when this is over?
Right.
And like when the credits end, what's the next? I like thinking about that instead of being spoon fed a lot of times.
Well, that's a question we can actually talk about. I mean, this is going to get into spoilers if we talk about it, but there was a question that somebody posted. It may have been on Collider. I can't remember or wherever I saw it, but the question they pose is this movie? Oh no, it was Jon Stewart asked Scarlett Johansson when she came on the show, a Daily Show. Is this movie anti-technology or is it pro-technology? Because there's several scenes when he's walking around with her, like he keeps his phone basically in his pocket, so she can see the world basically. Because she's connected to everything. She's connected to his computer at home, his work computer, his phone, everything. There's a lot of scenes of people walking around, and they're talking to their own. They're talking to their own OSs, and they're all in their own little worlds.
You don't see too many humans.
Not a lot of human interaction. That's right. And then the end of the movie is kind of what the future is. It almost kind of brings it back around. So. Again, that's minor spoilers. We don't really want to get into the ending because we don't want to root for anybody. But it's an interesting question. Is the film not denigrating, but demonizing technology, saying that it's keeping humans apart, or is it saying this is kind of what's going to happen? Because I wouldn't even say this is science fiction. This is soon to be science fact.
This is coming at some point.
They will.
There were we talked about this too. There are many times throughout the film where all I heard was do 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 do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, Cyberdyne Systems is online. Skynet.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah. I think I wrote that in my post after we saw it. I was like, you get what you get with Her, and I'm like, well, we get Skynet. Skynet's what we get. Skynet's what we get. So that's. But
even to a lower level, the actual relationship that he has at the end of the movie,
mm-hmm.
I'm still curious. Was that going somewhere? Was it? You know, I don't want to give the spoilers away,
right?
But was it only meant to be a friendship, or
right? Right. Who knows?
Like that, and
we don't know. Yeah, it's open ended.
I like that.
It's a great movie.
It's a really good
and I liked
really good story.
What I did like about the relationship between him and the OS is that with Samantha is that they pretty much answer almost every question you could probably think of. Yeah, and come up with what would happen with this? They pretty much cover
not
everything.
Like a laundry list. It's very organic in the story.
Yeah,
but Spike Jonze did a really good job here doing that, and the cast for portraying what he had on the page there. Some good comedy relief from like Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt's good.
Cameo in here. He's really good. But yeah, overall, this is easily one of the best movies of 2013.
Yeah.
Definitely at the top of that list somewhere, and we'll probably discuss that next week at some point.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, so see her, and I guess let's move on to the next one we saw there.
Yep, and then also this weekend we saw the new Coen brothers movie, Inside Llewyn Davis. Now this movie, it's set in the early 60s, 1961. It's about a folk singer, a fictional folk singer, named Llewyn Davis. He's played by Oscar Isaac, who has been he's had parts in other stuff, but this is really his big breakout role. Yeah. He sings in the movie. It's all him singing and playing and all that stuff. I saw him on the Daily Show as well, and he said that he was a musician before he became an actor.
I wondered about that because he was very believable in that role, so that's not surprising.
He has a background in music, and basically it's really a kind of day in the life film.
Yeah,
there's no real,
just like most other Coen Brothers movie. Mm-hmm. It's a drama or comedy of sorts of one person and a piece of that life. It's not. It doesn't go into a grand scale.
Right. You know? I'm not the biggest Coen Brothers fan. I mean, I like their films that I've seen, but I'm not not exhaustive in their filmography. But in their other films, there seems to be there is a story goal, and there really is no story goal in Llewyn Davis. It's really just about him, quote unquote, trying to make it in the biz, and that's.
I'd invite you to look at more of their filmography.
Okay, all right. There's a lot. I'm thinking of Lebowski.
Yeah. You look at.
Burn After Reading, which I fucking love.
Great.
I love that movie.
But you look at stuff like Raising Arizona, even. There's a plot there, but it's kind of similar. Barton Fink, which was one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. It's the story is there, but at the end, you're still left going, what was the
right?
It's cohesive and not cohesive at the same time. Really weird.
Right.
But no, this was very true to form for the Coen brothers. Mm-hmm. It worked. I mean, it wasn't. It's nothing that's. I don't know that I see any best picture performance here. Maybe he might get a nod, but he's not going to win.
No, I don't think so.
No,
but
and that's not to say that's just because there's some really good great performances this year.
Yeah,
this is not knocking on him at all.
Yeah,
Isaac, he did a great job here.
Right.
But the movie itself, it's very Coen Brothers, and I guess get a little bit more into plot.
Well, I mean that's basically it. I mean, there really isn't much of a plot there. It's like I said, it's more of just like a day in the life type thing. He's just trying to make it and get by.
Well, I'd say that is the plot, right?
In the music industry.
How does a folk singer in the 60s, an average folk singer, not your Bob Dylan, an average folk singer, or even any recording artist, really,
make a living make
a living, and they take that and show you a day of, which kind of, if you extrapolated it, it's the same idea. Because this guy, he doesn't have his own home.
No,
he's literally jumping from place to place throughout the entire film.
He's the typical.
He's a nomad.
He's the mythical traveling troubadour.
Yep.
He's always living on
somebody's his back. Yep.
Yeah, always living on somebody's couch, and
somehow it makes you wonder how he got these friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
However, they give you some insight into his rich friends who kind of just use him
to entertain at parties.
A little bit. Yeah.
But so he goes on. Basically, he has several little adventures, we'll say, throughout the film. And I like that. It was kind of like it was almost like a collection of short stories called, which is kind of like an album. It's called almost like a music album. And his album that he did is called Inside Llewyn Davis, and that's where the title comes from. For me, aside from Oscar Isaac, who, like we said, is phenomenal in this film, the highlight of the film is John Goodman. If you've seen the trailer, John Goodman is hilarious. Yeah. He plays a guy named Roland Turner, who is a bit of a fop. He's just, his dialogue's just, it's hilarious.
He's your classic drug addict jazz musician.
Yeah. Yes. Old school jazz. He's a jazz musician. And he has a valet, as he says. Not a valet, he has a valet. Johnny Five. Right. Johnny Five was played by Garrett Hedlund. And I made a mistake. Garrett Hedlund is the guy that was in Tron. I said he was the guy from Pacific Rim, because that's the guy from Sons of Anarchy. Tron, okay. But between me, those two guys are freaking interchangeable. Yeah. So it's like that's Charlie Hunnam. Yeah, Hunnam and Garrett Hedlund. They're basically interchangeable for me. But he was the guy from Tron, and he was also in On the Road. And he kind of looks... I mean, I didn't see On the Road. I've only seen the trailer and stuff like that. Yeah. But he kind of looks similar to the character in On the Road. I'm like, is that just the same guy carried over into this movie?
He's kind of your everyman drifter.
Yeah, he's a
kind of type of character.
The valet.
Yeah. Johnny
Goodman. Five.
That's a great... I wish I had seen more of John Goodman in this movie. But I get it. I mean, he was a small vehicle to keep that part of the plot going.
And he basically, Llewyn Davis accompanies them on a trip to Chicago.
From New York to Chicago.
Yeah, because Llewyn Davis lives in New York. And you had a theory about the two guys.
Yeah, I really want to almost see the movie again and look at it a little differently, but knowing the Coen brothers, if this wasn't the Coen brothers, I wouldn't have given it a second thought.
And the way they structured the movie. Yeah, because you don't realize until the end that the movie has a kind of weird structure.
Yeah,
until the end.
Well, I think it's almost they just didn't give you the full picture at the beginning.
Oh yeah. I mean, because it cuts in, then it cuts to the beginning.
Anyway, my theory after I left the movie and thought about it for a little bit is that it's quite possible, or at least they want to give you the idea that it's possible, that these two characters that he was in the car with, they didn't actually exist. Mm-hmm. This was almost his psyche, split into 2 or 3 pieces, and he's on a road trip with himself, right, inside Llewyn Davis.
Right, exactly. Right.
And because these two characters that he's in the car with, you never see him communicate with anyone else other than him. And then there's a very telling scene with the police officer where the other two characters, he leaves the other two characters never to be seen from again and just kind of walks away and does his own thing. Right. And so my theory is that those two characters were just in his head. Right. That they were part of his psyche.
That's possible. Yeah. It's totally possible.
And there's nothing to back that up. I heard the Coen brothers say that. It's a very Coen brothers thing to do.
You won't know until the commentary comes on the DVD. Yeah. Again, I liked it. Didn't love it. For me, but see, again, it's telling that my favorite Coen Brothers movie is No Country for Old Men, which is an adaptation of a novel. And I think that's the only one they've done, right? The only adaptation they've ever done. Everything else is written by them. I mean, they wrote the screenplay and everything like that, but it's an adaptation.
If they don't both direct it or write it, it's always one or the other, right? But for me, I agree with you. If you're looking at just everything they've ever done, that's easily my favorite. But if you want to look at the original stuff, I think Barton Fink might be my favorite, which also has Goodman.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of their stuff.
Oh, he's in a lot of their shit.
He wasn't in Burn After Reading, was he?
No, John Goodman wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
No.
That's
really good.
That was so good.
But the Coen brothers they have made a living in Hollywood somehow, inexplicably, as the oddest writing.
Oh yeah, the movies are good. I mean,
they're on paper. There is no way most of their shit should have ever seen the light of day because it's so batshit out there for Hollywood. Right. To give stuff like that a chance.
It's also telling that No Country for Old Men. I mean, they've had awards recognition before, like Fargo. Yeah. And Barton Fink got some attention, I think, too, and stuff like that.
Did it?
I think it did.
I mean, I want to say it did. It might have gotten a little bit. But it didn't receive any.
Maybe like screenplay or something like that. But but then they do No Country for Old Men, which is a very un-Hollywood adaptation. Because there's a lot of people who don't like that movie because it goes against all kinds of Hollywood conventions. But
no offense, but they're stupid assholes.
Right, exactly. But but that is their most successful movie as far as I don't know box office, but definitely awards stuff. They won the Best Picture. They won everything.
Yeah, and even most people who like that movie still look at the end and be like, I don't like the ending. I like everything but the ending. And to me, the ending makes the movie. Yeah. I mean, it is. If they had done that any other way, it wouldn't have worked as well.
I love that movie.
But anyway, so Inside Llewyn Davis. I agree with you. It's a very good movie, but it doesn't really. It's not great.
Right.
And you talked something we haven't really talked about is the music.
Yeah, the music was executive produced by T-Bone Burnett, who's basically become their guy because he did Oh Brother We're Out There too. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did the music for that too, and the music is very well done. It's serviceable to the plot. The problem is, I hate folk music, so it's like the whole opening scene is him singing a song. I'm just like, oh god, am I going to listen to this all day?
If you can't appreciate it, appreciate's bad because you appreciate it.
I appreciate it, but it's just I'm not a fan.
If you don't enjoy it at some level, you can get very detached from this movie,
right? Because I'm not. At the same time, though, I can understand the artist's plight and all that kind of stuff, trying to live as an artist, stuff like that. But it's folk music. I've never been a big Bob Dylan fan and all that stuff. And it's just like, See, I'm on the opposite side of that.
Right. I love Bob Dylan. I'm not to say I'm some huge folk music fan. This is crazy, but I like Bob Dylan a whole lot. Right. And I actually really like this music. I thought it was really good. It reminded me of Crazy Heart.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either, but I know
Jeff Bridges.
I know what you're talking about.
In that,
and that was country, wasn't it? His was country.
In that, it reminded me of Crazy Heart in that the focus was the music, and that it was almost a character into itself in the movie. But they do it correctly here. They don't just throw in. It's not like they had someone in 5 minutes go write a few pieces,
right?
A few lines of a few songs to get you through. No, these are full on songs. They were actually produced. There's a production value behind these things.
Did T-Bone Burnett do that one too?
I don't. Crazy Heart. I don't know.
To check.
I don't know. But that's not the Coen Brothers or anything.
Oh no, I know it's not. Yeah, that was Scott. What's his name from Out of the Furnace? He did.
Oh, did he? Okay, how about that? Yeah. But yeah, the music drives this, and it's really good music. Again, whether you like folk music or not. You will when you hear it, you'll appreciate that it's actual music. It's not just fluff that was put into the movie.
Right.
And I really like that. But there was a lot of solid performances all around here.
Yeah, you had Carey Mulligan's in it. She plays Jean, the girl who everybody wants to bang.
Kind of a jaded-esque
she's almost like I don't want to say June Carter because she's country, but she's like, I don't want any folk artists, so I can't really tell you who she reminds me of. But she's in it. A good performance from Justin Timberlake. He's in it briefly as her husband.
And Llewyn's friend.
Yeah, and Llewyn's friend.
Elwyn.
Oh, yeah, Elwyn. Adam Driver from Girls, the HBO show Girls. He's in it in a brief cameo role. He's funny. He sings one song with Justin Timberlake and Oscar Isaac, and he's hilarious.
Outer space.
And but for me, it's like I said, and I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he did. T-Bone Burnett did do.
There you go. He did it makes perfect sense. That's funny that I didn't know that, but I
and actually, going through all this stuff again, there was another adaptation that the Coen brothers did. They did The Lady Killers with Tom Hanks in 2004. That was a remake.
Yeah, that was a remake. It was all right. It doesn't fall in my top echelon of Coen Brothers movies.
You brought your bitch to the Waffle Hut. But overall, Llewyn Davis, pretty good film. A solid film. It's a solid film for me, but I just it wasn't one of my favorites. I can see why some people would have fallen in love with it, but there's also a point I think with the Coen Brothers that some people just kind of say, I loved it because it's the Coen brothers, because it's weird, and like, now I'll be eccentric and strange because I love it. It's like,
always have that subset of the population.
They're all like,
whether it's Coen brothers or anything fucking weird and eccentric, where they're like, if I say I liked it, that means I get it.
That means I'm smart.
That means I'm smart.
Yeah, they're like a bunch of pretentious people. That's how
I feel about Donnie Darko. Because that movie makes no fucking sense unless you have the specific backstory of this fictitious book. The movie makes no fucking sense, but everyone's like, I liked it, and it made perfect sense to me. I'm like, no, it didn't. You're lying.
You are a liar. Yeah. That is awesome.
But anyway, yeah. So this is also I'd say it's a worthwhile movie to catch in the theaters if you can.
Yeah. If you like folk music and you like the Coen brothers, definitely check it out. If you hate folk music and you hate the Coen brothers, then don't go see it.
Yeah, Coen brothers, they carry their own audience.
They do, yeah.
Most people, you either love their shit or you hate it.
I mean, I think we were the youngest people in the theater that saw that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's good. And also one other person, F. Murray Abraham has a
very bit part
as a music producer. Oh, you know what I read actually when I was writing my review. The guy who played his manager, he passed away.
Isaac's manager?
Yeah, the guy Mel. He passed away
in production. Or?
I don't know if it was in production, and I'm wondering if maybe that's why he didn't show up in that later scene. Maybe he passed away and they didn't.
Could be.
But yeah, he passed away.
He played the classic small time Jewish. Producer. Yeah, he was pretty funny.
And F. Murray Abraham is more successful.
They did this little interaction where Llewyn goes into his office and he and his elderly wife / secretary.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was a great scene. That was a great scene. There's a lot of comedy in Llewyn Davis. I mean, it's not that's typical Coen brothers.
Yeah, Coen brothers. Very subtle comedy.
I laughed a lot.
British type of comedy.
Yeah,
where it's
it is. Yeah,
net of it is like you said. If you like the Coen brothers, chances are you're gonna like it.
Check it out. Yeah. But remember, if you don't like folk music, it could be a long movie for you. The last movie we saw this past week was one that really surprised both of us.
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to it at all.
We expected this movie to be a total, whatever, Hollywood
type of ordeal.
Yeah, military movie. And the movie's Lone Survivor, writer-director Peter Berg, who has done such classics as Battleship and The Kingdom. Actually, The Kingdom wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
it was actually pretty good.
The Kingdom in the same category as Battleship.
But he did Battleship, which was basically the tagline I think on the movie is "Join the Navy."
You sure it's not "You Sunk My Battleship"?
Yeah, right. He wrote the screenplay for Lone Survivor. He's the director. This movie is very much pro-military, but not as bad as Battleship was.
I never saw that one.
Oh, you never saw Battleship?
I didn't see it.
Battleship, actually, getting off on a little tangent here, Battleship was not nearly as terrible as I expected.
Lies!
No, it really wasn't.
Wow.
It really wasn't.
Okay.
It was a typical color by numbers alien invasion movie, but there were a lot of things I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that was interesting. But it could have been way, 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 way worse. And I was actually surprised at how much I actually enjoyed it.
I probably still won't check it out.
That's fine.
That glowing endorsement of
it's not completely terrible.
Complete turd shit.
You should go back on my blog and read my review for that movie. Because I think that was my first line. Hey, surprise! It's not the total soulless cash grab you thought it was.
Right.
But anyway, getting back on track. Lone Survivor is very pro-military, but I would actually argue that it's more pro-soldier than pro-military.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
The movie is based on the real life account of Marcus Luttrell, who was a Navy SEAL in SEAL Team 10. If you watched 60 Minutes, you probably saw his story the last few weeks. They had him on,
and it focused specifically on this Operation Red Wings. Right?
Yeah. Basically, what this operation was, it was 2005, which I don't think they ever told us in the movie. They didn't tell us what the year was. I had to find that on Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, you can kind of get, you kind of see
the time frame.
But I didn't know how late it was in the war and how. But anyway, it's 2005. It's set in Afghanistan. This 4-man team of SEALs, they're sent into this mountainous region to find this Taliban guy. And
they're hit squad.
Yes and no. No, they were really there just to confirm that he was there, and then they were going to send a team in.
Yeah, they were going
to take him out.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
They had to confirm. I mean, they said to him, "Can you make this shot?" And he goes, "It's too far away." But it was really they were a recon team there to confirm that he was there.
So they were sent there to confirm that he was there,
and then they would send in the larger team.
Maybe we should take it. We could just take him out right here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, what happens is the operation goes sideways. If you've seen the trailer, you know these goat herder guys stumble across them, and then they have a moral dilemma: do we kill these guys and stay secret, or do we let them go, do the right thing and let them go?
Because it's not like
they weren't enemy combatants,
right?
Right.
It was an old man and
two kids,
seemingly his grandsons, probably.
Right.
Like young kids.
Yes, and these Taliban guys were basically running the village. So these people were, for all we know, they were almost like enslaved to these people. So
although the one of them had the
old man had the radio. But that would be part of
right.
Part of it,
you don't know, you never know
what the situation
is. Yeah.
So if you've seen the trailer, they do let them go, and one of the people does report back to these guys, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're surrounded by these Taliban guys, and they go into I think it was like the worst firefight that they had.
Yeah, so it's basically you got these four guys
fighting against like 50
an
guys
army
or something like that. Yeah,
of surrounded on territory they're not
familiar with.
No, they're not familiar with. I mean, they're Navy SEALs, so they've been trained for it. But yeah, they're on top of this mountain where guys have been fighting all their lives,
right?
And they're basically it's a no-win situation,
right? It's the action is very tough to watch at times.
Oh man, it's very graphic.
It's very graphic.
I've never been in a situation like that. I never plan on. Hope I never have to be. But it certainly seems.
Well, when the robots, we're going to have to take up arms.
They'll just kill me. But it certainly seemed very realistic
it was.
As to how something like that.
And he and Luttrell, he worked with them on the movie. He's actually in the movie.
Yep.
He has an uncredited role in the movie. He plays another one of the SEALs that's back at the base. It's very realistic. It's very harrowing to watch some of it. I watched the movie and I was basically like, well, I guess I'll never play Call of Duty again, because it's like it really hits home for you. And the thing I really liked about this movie is that it told the events as they happened. It's like I said, it is very pro-military, but like I said, it's more pro-soldier, whereas it focuses more on the brotherhood that forms between these guys as they go through training and all this stuff. And because they do show in the beginning, they show archive footage of real Navy SEAL training and just how difficult and grueling it is, and how these guys form a bond with each other. That's constantly harped on in the movie, but that scene also shows why they don't quit. These guys never surrender. They fight all the way to the end.
Yeah, this is what they're trained to do. This is
right.
It's borderline brainwashing. I mean, it's recircuiting.
It is
recircuiting. These soldiers' minds to work
turn them
this way.
Basically turn them into killing machines. Right. And the other thing is and that's kind of what I said in my review. Not to that degree, but as civilians safe in our houses, we watch this movie and we're just like, well, that we don't get some of the military stuff because you're just like, well, this is so fucking dumb. It's so what are they doing that for? But these guys, when they're out there, they got to make decisions every day that are life and death. And whether you are pro-military or pro the war in Afghanistan, or you don't think we should be there, this movie's very apolitical. It doesn't really. There's no real rah America stuff, because the way they tell the events, the military really fucked this up.
Oh yeah,
they really fucked it up.
I mean, so they have parts where you have the higher chain of command saying, "No, we're not going back." Like you don't even know fully why. You just nope, we caught off the airships. No,
right?
It's not like America's the greatest and
exactly.
We do everything right.
You really. That's why I say it's more pro soldier than pro military, because the audience is really left on their own to figure out how the military comes off in this movie.
Yeah.
Because in some parts they look like a bunch of bungling idiots. In other parts they look like the mythical United States military. It's really all about these guys. It's about their devotion to each other and sticking together and their teamwork and their brotherhood. and they do a great job with that.
Yeah, there's no whitewashing here. There's not.
There really isn't.
Like when they're on the mountain, and again, this isn't really in the trailer. Should have not given much away. When they're on the mountain and there's the goat herders or whatever they're herding come up, it's not like they just in 10 seconds decided what they were going to do, or they all had of the same mind of what they were going to do. I mean, one of them would be like, look, we can't do this, and the other one would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, we can do this. It's the only way we're going to live. And guess what? I value my life over this son of a bitch's life, who, I can calculate in my head what's going to happen. And it was really real. I mean, it was...
And,
Again, I have never been put in a situation like that. But, if it's a me or him type of situation, what would I decide? I'd like to think I'd be like, honestly, I think, I don't, it's not, I'd like to, I think I'd probably be like, yeah, it's me. Bye.
Right. I mean, they do disagree, but they do put it up to the guy who's in charge.
But it's still orders.
It's still orders, yes. And the guy who's in charge. We should run down who's in the movie, because it's really all mainly about the four guys. Mark Wahlberg plays Luttrell. He plays the main guy, the lone survivor, if you will. Sorry.
What?
Sorry if I gave the movie away.
What?
To be honest, that was my biggest problem with the movie. It's like, why did you... I mean, the book is called Lone Survivor, but why would you call the movie...
But you know what? It's the same, whether or not you called it that or not.
Right.
It's the same idea, where we've argued this before. It's already a book. It's already been on TV.
True.
You know what happened.
True.
So,
the
story's out there.
True. Taylor Kitsch is in this. He plays Michael Murphy. He was the commander of the team, the four-man team. He was in charge. Danny Dietz is played by Emil Hirsch, and Matt Axelson is played by Ben Foster.
He's great.
He was really good. Ben Foster he's a fantastic
Ben
actor.
Foster's awesome.
If all you know Ben Foster from is X-Men 3, please see more. Please see more of his filmography. Yeah. In fact, if get off on a little tangent here, Ben Foster, if you want to watch a really fantastic movie with Ben Foster and a great performance by him, 3:10 to Yuma.
Man,
he's fantastic.
Yeah. It's a good movie altogether.
Yeah, and you also got Russell Crowe and Christian Bale in it, and great movie. Anyway, so you were talking about how they did disagree and stuff like that, but the one thing I really liked about it is that later on, when they get into the shit, there was no "I told you so"s. I knew this shit was going to happen. The only thing that Luttrell says is like, maybe I should have voted the other way. He's like,
but they don't second guess orders.
They don't.
They do what they got to do, and then you move on to the next question or order. You don't
because the thing is, for these guys, this is their job. Right. It's a job for them. They go to work, they do the mission, and then they move on. All it's about is getting home alive. That's all it's about.
It takes a very special individual to become a SEAL. I mean, you got to have a very specific personality.
Right.
And it's like you mentioned, they kind of they go into it in little bit frames at the beginning of this on what you do as a SEAL, and there have been movies about it. When you're done, you basically shame yourself when you're done by putting down your helmet, ringing a bell, and saying, "I'm a fucking pussy. I can't do this anymore." Right. And I mean, this takes a... There are very few people in the world that could ever become Navy SEALs. Right.
Oh, yeah. And it's what's happened in this country is that people look at the military and it becomes a red and blue situation. Yeah. And this movie is not that. It's, like I said, it really hammers home more of the military angle. And my one complaint with the movie is that I wish they had shown more of Luttrell's escape and how because what happens is and spoilers if you didn't watch on 60 Minutes or whatever, or read it in the book or whatever, the title. What happens is that he runs into friendly Afghanis who take him in, and as I saw in the 60 Minutes report, he has basically formed this brother type relationship with this man who saved his life, like he had with his brothers in the SEALs. And I wish they had shown more of that, more of the aftermath, just to balance out the hardcore military stuff.
Especially since that was one of my bigger gripes with the movie, is that the first half of it's so sluggish.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not necessary. They're definitely building to what they get to.
Right.
But they definitely could have balanced. That's a good way to put it. Definitely could have been balanced out more.
Yeah.
To show more of that at the end. But man, that scene towards the end, pretty much the very end, where he's kind of thanking.
Yeah.
That's a tearjerker.
Oh yeah, it is.
It
really is
powerful.
It really is. And
And it's Wahlberg's great in this movie.
Oh yeah, yes. Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg. I've been very critical of him in the past because he really is as good as the material is.
Yeah.
And he does a great job in this.
That's a really good point. The way I would describe Mark Wahlberg is he's not an actor that can elevate anything.
Right. He really isn't.
Yeah.
He's only as good as the movie is. Yeah. But if you need evidence of that, go see Broken City with him and Russell Crowe. That movie's awful.
Hey, Doug. Say hi to your mother for me. Okay?
Yeah, right? Hey, Doug, quack, quack. Say hi to your mother for me.
So he can't really elevate any material, which goes to show you that this is a tightly written script and it's true to form. But he portrays Luttrell. I'd like to see what Luttrell had to say about his performance. I don't know, but
he was probably happy with it because he's in the movie. He hung out the whole time.
To portray Luttrell, in a very true to form light.
Yeah. It's I mean, there's definitely this movie definitely had a lot of opportunity to be really raw America, and it totally isn't. And
that being said, it is in a lot of ways it is your basic battle story.
Yeah,
there's nothing special about it in that aspect.
Right.
It's just done really well,
right? And
the actors really, you can tell they're into it.
Yeah, they really.
So there's nothing overly special about the movie. Like it's not. It's in no way, jumping towards the top of our list of great movies of 2013.
Right. It's
not. But
it's solid.
It's
a solid movie.
It surprised us because we didn't expect it to be.
No, we expected it to be. Yeah, we expected it to be a big piece of crap.
Yeah.
And to be that. That
rah,
rah America. Hey, you conservative idiots, come to this movie. That's it. But it's not that because, like I said, they keep the politics completely out of it.
Yep.
Almost like Zero Dark 30 did. Zero Dark 30 just told you, hey, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, and it doesn't really get into the, whether we should have been there or not and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. It's very powerful as far as the action and what happens to them, and it's just it really makes you feel for these guys that go out there and,
Great battle story, true battle story.
Yeah.
If you're squeamish or do not like blood or gore, you don't want to go see this movie.
Yeah, no.
It's all over the place. It is.
Right.
It is in your face.
Yeah, and the one thing when we were talking about,
not gratuitously.
No, it's not.
This is what it is. This is what it's trying to tell you.
Right.
How awful.
And I think, and to be honest, I think in real life he was way more fucked up than he was.
I have no doubt.
When
no
they found him.
Yeah.
And the other thing, going back to what we were talking about the humanity and trying to balance and stuff like that. He's constantly when these guys come and help him, he's constantly like, "Why are you helping me? Why are you helping me?" And in my mind, all I was thinking is because they're human beings,
right?
And that's the thing that war does. Yeah. It turns you into
especially if you're SEAL, you don't think in the same way a normal person thinks, right? You go in somewhere, and for the most part, that's your enemy,
right?
And yes, they discuss this. Yes, they have rules of engagement. And
right.
That's kind of leads into
why this all happens.
But that's still just an order.
Right.
That's not part of their humanity.
Right.
It's a list of their orders.
Right. I was reading an article about the story on Wikipedia, and it talked about when these guys found him and they saved him. The gentleman who helped him. His name was Muhammad Gulab Khan, and eventually his family had to be moved out of that village because the Taliban knew what happened and all this stuff.
I would assume it would be the whole village, though. I mean,
no, because from what I read in Wikipedia, it didn't exactly happen as it does.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit different in the movie. They dramatize that a little.
They did, and even at the end, they explain it to be that he's part of this. I assume to be the whole village.
Well,
but it's probably just.
Well, no. The other because that's what I was going to say. In the Wikipedia article, they said there was two ways basically Luttrell could have gone when he got away, and if he had gone the other way, he probably would be dead. And he just happened. He was lucky. But I'm saying, and he found this village that they weren't pro-American, but they were more sympathetic.
And that's how they describe it, right? At the end, and I'm glad they did. They put some little.
It was like the Pushtani or something like that.
Yeah, it's a code that these people live by,
right?
It's a code where their goal is to protect humanity, and anyone who can't defend themselves, they will defend. against who they consider an enemy.
Right.
And I like that they kind of put that in there. But at that point, I would assume it'd be the whole village, not just this one family that happened to find him.
Right. No. And it was.
But you did see arguments taking place.
Oh yeah, totally. Because they don't.
Like, let's get this fucker out of here.
But it was the same. But that was.
Well,
that was the juxtaposition.
They're trying to protect the other people.
Exactly. That was the juxtaposition of what the SEALs went through when they were discussing what to do.
Yeah.
If you can catch it, go see Lone Survivor. It is good. It's not the crappy January military movie you think it is.
No, I mean there are better movies out there to go see.
Oh, definitely. But this one just won the weekend. It just won the box office.
It deserved it.
It's a good movie. It's good. I was very surprised.
So while we saw a string of 2013 movies this past week, 2014 is looking pretty good so far. Although we haven't actually seen the January. Exactly.
Yeah. Because all these movies.
Yay! I Frankenstein.
Yeah, all these movies were released in limited release in 2013, and now they're wide. Next week is Jack Ryan, which was Shadow Recruit, which was supposed to come out on Christmas of 2013, but they moved it. Does it have
Alec Baldwin in it?
No, I'm not in that movie. I'm not in that movie, Lemon. They moved Shadow Recruit to make way for Wolf of Wall Street. So even though I said earlier today that might be our first 2014 movie, actually our real first 2014 movie would probably be I Frankenstein. So
you're going to see I Frankenstein.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
But anyway, next episode we will probably put that on hold for you, Jack Ryan. And we will probably do our best of 2013 as far as the movies go.
It's a tight race. There were a
lot of great movies last year. The Purge, Paranoia.
Hey, don't forget. Only God Forgives.
Only God Forgives.
I mean, it's just the list goes on.
Star Trek Into Darkness. Oh wait, those were our worst movies. No, we will be doing our best of, and it'll be. We'll probably have a lot of the same, I would think.
I suspect
so. We'll probably
we may sync up a little bit just to give you a little variety.
Yeah, we'll have to tweak our list a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll have to do like how Siskel and Ebert used to do it, and Ebert and Roper as well. They would kind of like change it up a little bit because they get some variety on the show. But until then, have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Fuck those resolutions.